Hello, everyone. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and today we're going to be talking about the 2018 movie Lizzie, starring Chloe Sevigny and Kristen Stewart. Oh, Kristen Stewart, we'll get to that. But anyway, though, yeah, I don't really expect this is going to be one of my more popular videos, but I just figured, why not? I did a video. If you go back and look through my videos, I did a review of a movie about Ted Bundy. I did a review of a movie about Charles Manson. Why not do a review of a movie about Lizzie Borden? Now, the hang on just one second. Unfortunately, I don't have it, but I mean, if I had my druthers, I probably come on. If I had my druthers, I probably much rather would have chosen to review this one, the 1970s TV movie, The Legend of Lizzie Borden, starring Elizabeth Montgomery from that everybody remembers as Samantha on the classic TV show Bewitched. But seeing as I don't have that, and I just watched this one, pretty much still kind of fresh in my mind, I figured I'd go ahead and just review this one just for safety's sake. But the one thing I admit I'm not very keen on the cover of this because I mean, even though Chloe Sevigny is a star, you got Kristen Stewart's face plastered all over here. It's like you see her more than anything else, but I don't know. Anyway, though, yeah, this movie just came out last year. Let's see, who's directed by Craig William MacNeill and written by Bryce Cass. Now, real quick, just a little history lesson here. Now, this here is the original Lizzie Borden, and she was known back in the time as a spinster, and she was a woman in her 30s. She had never married. She died alone. She was a very controversial figure. Pretty much her entire life, she was considered something of an outcast, and she lived in Fall River with her family, and she had never married. Her and her father, they had moments where they really did not get along. She had an older sister, Emma, who, after Lizzie was acquitted of the murders, her and her sister, they drifted apart and, just, you know, didn't end up, being sisters together forever. And Lizzie, her father married this woman, Abby, and, became her stepmother, and her and Abby never got along. Even though some people claim that, no, they had a decent enough relationship with each other, but now it was always kind of widely proven that, yeah, they never did like each other and stuff. And so, and then what ended up happening is on August 4th, 1892, see, a lot of things happened within the Borden household, and I'll get to that in just a minute, but on August 4th, 1892, the maid, Bridget Sullivan, she was sent out to wash the windows inside and out. And meanwhile, Abby Borden went up to do work in the bedroom that she shared with her husband, and she was attacked with a hatchet. And this is the actual photo of her for when she was killed. This is, easy pictures to find. You can find them online and stuff. But yeah, this is how they found her later on. And then she was, they say that she was killed at 9 o'clock that morning. And then Andrew Borden came home at 11 o'clock later that morning. And then he was killed. And, yeah. And then when they found him, this is the condition that he was in. And as you can see, pretty much most of his head was gone. And they were both killed with a hatchet. And a lot of people speculate about why his jacket was on the sofa there, crumpled up behind him. But so anyway, so yeah, at first they they tried to see if they could figure out who would have done this. Did Andrew Borden have, did he have enemies? It was kind of feared that he had some enemies and stuff like that. There was some speculation about they had an Uncle John. They thought maybe he might have had something to do with it because, at one point there was talk that if that there was a will that if, anything happened to Andrew, that pretty much John would inherit the business and everything else and all this other kind of stuff. So, but anyway, so yeah. All right. Now, we kind of went into a little bit of the history. I'm sorry, this is a little bit scatterbrained. I'll try to make a little bit more sense. But so anyway, so Lizzie was she was considered pretty much like the most one with opportunity and everything else, and so they took her and they took her into custody and they tried her, and at the time nobody would believe that she ever would have done such a thing, and um, everybody thought that she was just kind of being um, they just wanted to get a scapegoat, and then Lizzie would have been a good one, and Lizzie, even though she was very well respected in Fall River, she had some there were some inklings of people talking about things like they didn't like about her, like she had been known to like shoplift and things like that, but a lot of people would be like, well, she was always forgiven that, because well, if she stole something, all you did was just you just write up a bill, send it to Andrew Borden, he took care of it and stuff like that. So but and then it was figured out that well, see, it was kind of odd that at first that Abby Borden was killed because there was talk of she would inherit the house, the money, all this other kind of stuff, and if she had if Andrew died before she did, she automatically would have inherited everything, and then if uh anything had happened to her, then it would have gone to her family and things like that. So a lot of people thought that that was motive enough for Lizzie, and it seemed kind of a little strange and awkward that it was kind of weird that kind of funny how Abby died before Andrew did, so that automatically, like, once Abby was dead, then Andrew died, then pretty much everything would go to Lizzie and her sister Emma, and so they took her to trial, and so many people at the time, they couldn't believe that a woman could have been capable of doing such a thing, and um, you know, basically Lizzie Borden, she was acquitted of the whole thing and all that stuff. So, then she went on to live her life as, you know, uh, she and her sister moved out and they bought this fancy house and everything else. And she started mingling with, Broadway players and actors and playwrights and things like that. And at the time, they didn't have a very good reputation, so that kind of just didn't help Lizzie Borden any. And even though she had been acquitted of the murders and stuff, once she was acquitted and everything else, I mean, she was condemned by everybody that she had known, friends, family, people in Fall River. They condemned her. She was like cast out of social circles and everything else. She was not allowed. She was not wanted at the family church. She was not wanted living in their community and all this other kind of stuff. And so Lizzie was just kind of like, okay, fine, up yours. We'll move away. So anyway, so yeah, so she did that, and she pretty much did that sort of thing until just stay with these, just stay with these people, or these few friends that she had, and she was extravagant and everything else, and pretty much lived out the rest of her life alone with very few friends and everything, and she died lonely. So anyway, so now we kind of did a little bit of the history and stuff. So now, okay, now the movie. This is Chloe Sevigny here, who, she plays Lizzie in the movie, and I got to be honest. Okay, first, I didn't realize this till I watched the bonus features on the Blu-ray. I did not know that this was actually a passion project for Chloe Sevigny. She turned out she really wanted to do this part, and I wasn't sure if it was just like a movie that was put together, and she had just got. They just asked her if she wanted to go ahead and do it, and she agreed to it. But when I found out the bonus features, that no, actually, this was something she wanted to do. This was a passion project for her, and she, there was, of course, there's a feminist element to it that she really wanted to embrace in this storytelling and everything else, and she really wanted to do it. So she hired a friend of hers to write the script, and then they got it all put together and everything else. And so Chloe Sevigny, she's not just the star of the movie; she's the producer of the movie, and she plays Lizzie. And I will say, except for Kristen Stewart, okay, I admit I'm not a Kristen Stewart fan, but except for Kristen Stewart, pretty much this movie has a great cast. Chloe Sevigny, she did a great job playing Lizzie Borden. I think she was really great at it. She was very bold, very brave in her performance. She kind of really put herself out there, and I think she does a good job. Kristen Stewart is just Kristen Stewart. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm not a Kristen Stewart fan. I never was, never really will be. But you have other great actors, Jamie Sheridan, who played Randall Flagg in the TV miniseries of The Stand. He played Andrew Borden, the father. Yeah, Fiona Shaw, who's great character actress. She's been in many, many, many movies and television and everything else. She's been in the oh my God, she's been in the Harry Potter movies. She was in De Palma's movie, The Black Dahlia. She was in a great movie called The Butcher Boy, which I highly recommend. If you haven't seen it, Neil Jordan's movie with Stephen Ray, The Butcher Boy. Oh yeah, if you can get a chance, see it. It's really a good movie. Great Irish kind of cult, kind of drama slash horror flick and stuff. But yeah, if you can get a chance, see it, see it. Um, Kim Dickens, Maddie from Fear the Walking Dead plays Emma Borden. Dennis O'Hare, who he's a regular on American Horror Story. He played the Uncle Frank character, and yeah, so I mean, you got a really great cast. Like I said, pretty much, in my opinion, the only weak link is just Kristen Stewart. I just kind of, if they had just gotten a better, more talented actress to play um, the maid Bridget, I think this would have been a better film. But still, the movie was not the dumpster fire that I expected it was going to be. I remember looking at the previews, and the previews did not impress me. And it looked like it was more just a story of, okay, you got Lizzie Borden. She's having a lesbian love affair with the maid, but it turns out that the father, Andrew Borden, he's putting the moves on the maid too. So it kind of seems more like maybe that's why, in this version of the movie, if that's why Lizzie killed her father, then that's what it was for. In the trailer, it didn't even look like the stepmother or the sister were even mentioned. So I was not really going into this expecting very much. I mean, I thought this movie was going to be a disaster. I thought that they were going to, because I already knew that they had changed certain elements, from what I had heard about in documentaries and in the original movie, The Legend of Lizzie Borden and stuff like that. That, as a matter of fact, there is the scene. Okay, like for one example, there is a scene in this movie where Lizzie, takes money and jewelry and things like, or well, jewelry and possessions from her father and stepmother, and she goes and pawns them off to get money and everything else. And then, you know, even though kind of like some people suspected Lizzie, and the father ended up, there was a very famous true story about the Lizzie Borden case where she had these like pigeons and she kept them as pets and everything else, and she took care of them. And at one point, her father went out and took the hatchet, which some people believe was the very same hatchet that Lizzie used to kill her father and stepmother. And she had gone to, go in and murder her father. He had gone in to murder the pigeons with it, and then they turn around and serve the pigeons for dinner. And so anyway, so yeah, that. In this version of the movie, it's suspected that because she took the jewelry and stuff like that, that's why he did it, is something like as a punishment to Lizzie. And and then they end up serving the pigeons for dinner that night and everything else. But kind of like the big thing that they kind of change around here is the relationship between Lizzie and the Bridget, the maid character, even though they call her Maggie. In this version, Kristen Stewart just does her Kristen Stewart thing, always, just kind of always with that blank stare in her mouth hanging open and stuff like that. And she comes to work for the Bordens, and her and Lizzie, they kind of strike up a bit of a friendship. The father, Andrew Borden, yeah, he's putting the moves on her, and it's kind of indicated that Andrew Borden was having a sexual affair with Bridget the maid and stuff like that. And then Bridget is becoming more, unhappy being there, and she's hating it, and she's really wanting to just get away from it all and everything else. And then her and Lizzie strike up a friendship that ends up becoming something of a love affair. And then in this version, Andrew Borden, he sees that they're having this love affair, and so he forbids Lizzie to have any kind of contact with Bridget. And he's even talking about, yeah, she's going to be let go, and I think it was September, they said. And so the two of them basically kind of get together, and they plan out that that they're going to kill the stepmother and the father, and it's kind of interesting though because in this movie they do change it up a little bit. In this version, that Lizzie, she ends up, the idea was she's going to kill the stepmother, and that Bridget was going to kill the father, and so and they go by the most popular theory is that Lizzie, when she goes to kill the stepmother, she takes off all of her clothes. So there is Chloe Sevigny nudity in here, which it's kind of gruesome, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to see. But so she goes and she kills the stepmother, and then you know, the way they portray it is that in this version that Andrew Borden, he comes home and he goes and Lizzie's kind of playing up to him, being a good daughter and stuff like that. And so she leaves, and then the idea was that Bridget, goes and she takes her clothes off. So if you're interested in seeing a topless Kristen Stewart, here's a movie to see it in. So hang on just a second. There you go. Just in case of that should interest you, but so yeah, if you're interested in seeing a topless Kristen Stewart, here's a movie to see it in. But the idea was that she was going to kill the father, and that she could not quite go through with it. And Lizzie basically comes in and she finishes the job. And the idea was that Bridget was supposed to have gone along with this until Lizzie actually went and done it. And basically saying Bridget basically sees that she believes that Lizzie is very insane and very violent and vicious and things like that. And she decides she needs to get away from her. And so there's a scene where Lizzie's in her jail cell and Bridget comes in and she tells her, like, don't look for me. Don't ever try to find me or anything like that. Just let me go and all this kind of stuff. And so, and then, you got Kim Dickens playing the role of Emma Borden, and, she's, really defending Lizzie, which, they did say that, supposedly Emma Borden, even though her and Lizzie had a rift and everything else, that, that they didn't always get along, and in the end, they had nothing to do with each other, but supposedly she always defended her sister until the day she died. But, yeah, so that's kind of really the big difference between this movie and the other movies that I've seen is that they really try to play up. It is true in a lot of areas. There are stuff that there are sequences in this movie that are very much told true to life, like what you hear in documentaries and see other films and things like that. I have to admit, I've never seen the Christina Ricci Lizzie Borden film or the TV series based on her, but so I can't really compare that to this. But I mean, comparing it to documentaries that I've seen and the TV movie from the past, that it does keep a lot of it in there, but it does change several of the facts up, and so I'm not really the keenest on that. But the thing is, though, Chloe Sevigny said, the idea of taking the story in this direction is like it's possible it could have happened. And she said that, like, from all the research that she had done, that it seemed kind of impossible that Bridget didn't know, or she didn't suspect in some way that something was going on that day, and that maybe she was in cahoots with Lizzie about it and stuff like that. So, but overall, let's see. Like I said, to me, Kristen Stewart's the weak link in this. If they had gotten another actress, a better actress, but then again, I guess I can't complain. It could have been worse. They could have always gotten Rooney Mara. But yeah, Kristen Stewart, that's bad enough. But anyway, though, to me, she's the weak link in this. But Chloe Sevigny, she does a great job. She plays Lizzie Borden really well. You realize kind of like watching this movie, yeah, Chloe's age appropriate. Even though, Chloe Sevigny is, a stunningly beautiful woman. Even in this movie, she's not wearing makeup most of the time, and she still looks great. And in fact, there's her there on the back, and she looks great. And so anyway, but I was really surprised. I was very impressed with the way they did this movie. Some things I don't agree with, but overall, I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's watchable. It does provoke some thought. It does raise some questions. Well, we always heard this about the Lizzie Borden case. What about that? So I think that's kind of interesting. But I would say probably the better version would probably still be the TV movie Legend of Lizzie Borden with Elizabeth Montgomery and Fritz Weaver and Catherine Hellman, the late Catherine Hellman. Jean Triplehorn played the role of Midget the Braid, or Midget the Braid? Fuck, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Bridget the maid in that one. Jean Triplehorn we know from movies like Basic Instinct, and she was on the TV show Big Love. Ironically enough, she was on that show with Chloe Sevigny here, so interesting enough. So, but anyway, though, yeah, this movie's harmless enough. I wouldn't sit here and say, oh, this is the end all be all. What the real truth behind the Lizzie Borden murder case is, but I would still say, if you're a true crime aficionado and if you're interested and you don't mind a movie that's going to kind of give you a little bit of a different perspective, maybe kind of raise some questions. If you don't mind that kind of thing, then yeah, Lizzie would, you can get along with this. It's not too bad. Like I said, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not great, but I could watch it again. It's not going to bother me to do so. Great performances, except for one, but great performances. Good, it does follow a lot of the events, from documentaries and stuff, really close. So I would say, yeah, go ahead and give it a watch. I really was not expecting anything good out of this, but checking it out finally, it turned out it's not bad. Um, there's better, but still, like I said, it's not that bad. Okay, so anyway, I think I've taken up enough of your time, and I'm sorry if this video was kind of all disjointed, and um, hopefully what I said did make some sense. But anyway, that's going to pretty much do it. If anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and if you like true crime stories as much as I do, then please come back, and I'll see you later. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.